Hey, good morning, guys. This is Mr. Kwan, and I am here to walk you through how to read your financial aid packages as they come through your portals. This is a copy of the presentation that I'm going to be posting on Monday, which is probably today, as you're checking this. Basically, how this is going to work is I'm just going to go over several basics and kind of talking about the different line items that are important to understand as you read your financial aid packages so that you can make the most informed decision that you possibly can. Thank you to the couple of students who volunteered to share with me their financial aid packages. I'm going to be going over three different packages, one from Cal Poly SLO, one from UCSB, and then one from Chapman University. And these are all recent and updated packages. All right, let's take a look at the first package from Cal Poly. And as you can see, if you're just looking at this and you just focus on this big number right here, 28,926, and you're looking at this word right here that says offered, your initial reaction is probably going to be, oh, damn, they're offering me a ton of money. But it's really important that you understand the various categories and what they mean and what the difference between a grant and a loan is. Basically, for just the purposes of clarity and simplicity, you really just want to be focusing mostly on grants if at all possible. And so if you look at this package, there's a federal Pell Grant where if you meet an income requirement, that is pretty much guaranteed. A lot of you guys have federal Pell Grants. There's a university grant. A grant really just means it's free money. That's one way to understand it, that the school and the federal government through FAFSA is gifting you this money. Versus a loan, which we talked about freshman year, is money that you have to pay back. And so if you study this package closely, you'll see that this student does have a fair amount of grants, which is fantastic. But also there is a ton of room for loans as well. The big thing you want to avoid, and this is just a general thing, is this Parent Plus loan. Anytime your packages have a loan that has the word parent next to it, that just means that they're asking your parents to take out loans in their name, and that is something that you definitely don't want to do. You don't want to saddle your parents with more debt. It's not to say that loans necessarily are inherently bad, but if you look at this particular package, this is roughly $12,000 a year that they're offering for your parents to take out a loan. And remember, this is 1 year, right? So it's $12,000 compounded by 4 years. It's a lot of money to pay back. Just looking at this package, grants are looking pretty good. A subsidized loan versus an unsubsidized loan. These are student loans, but they have different elements that come with them. In general, the subsidized loan is certainly more preferable. I did post a video that explains in detail what the differences between a subsidized and unsubsidized loans are. And so if you are taking out student loans, it's always good to look at the subsidized offer first. One thing you need to understand is that just because loans are offered let me repeat myself. Just because loans are offered does not mean that you have to accept them. Okay, I want to repeat that. Just because a school offers a loan does not mean that you have to accept them. Okay, so we'll come back to this package in a second, but I want to show you another package from Chapman. And so again, this one looks a little bit different, but again, the basic terminology is the same, right? So they broke down this package in between fall and spring, and this is kind of the total, right? It's really important that you understand the details, like I said before. So if you look at this number right here, 38,179, you're like, damn, that's a lot of money. But as a private university, the cost is just ridiculous. So while they might be offering you close to $40,000 of scholarships and grants and whatnot, um, it costs $73,000 plus to attend Chapman every year. And so the gap is just huge. Um, yeah, you want to avoid those giant gaps, and I'll show you why when we start looking at loan calculators and all of that, and how long it would take, and what how realistically long it might take for you to pay back a loan as big as $50,000 or $75,000. It's really not worth it. You definitely don't want to start your working career saddled with a student loan payment that's just way too much. So again, if you look at this package, they're offering this student the parent plus loan, the subsidized loan, the unsubsidized direct loan. But as you can see, the gap for this school, for this particular student, is about $35,000. So this loan, which doesn't even touch $10,000, is not even going to come close to covering that big gap. So if this were the student that I was talking to in person, I would pretty much say, congratulations, it's awesome you got into Chapman. It's going to be really hard financially for you to make this school happen. And so that's where I would encourage this particular student to look at a more realistic and smart school in terms of, maybe looking at a UC or looking at a state school that is not going to be straddling this student with almost $100,000 of student debt. Okay. So let's take a look at one more. This is a financial aid package from UC Santa Barbara. And so this is generally what the UC packages look like. Grants and scholarships. Here's the Cal Grant, $12,570. Pell Grant, $6,295. There's a couple of scholarships, which is great. Work study eligibility just means that you can work on campus. Certain universities have work study programs which just connects you to jobs on campus. But yet again, it's not something that is entirely guaranteed in terms of availability. So you definitely don't necessarily want to bank on that job. It's not a guaranteed $2,000. And again, here you see the student loans, okay? Direct subsidized loan, unsubsidized. Here's a UCSB loan, that's what they call it. So about $8,000. So the total aid that they're giving you is pretty good, but again, you want to keep in mind this kind of gap, right? Just based on grants alone, it's pretty good. It's about $26,000 plus. That leaves you a gap of about $10,000. If you can avoid loans, which is the ideal situation, that would leave the student with about $8,000 of gap, which is not huge. So if you kind of scroll down this package, it breaks down the cost of the specific items of each year of attendance for UCSB. So you can see tuition and fees, housing and food, health insurance, books, and all of that. And again, as I said before, all this cost together is about $36,618. If you just had grants and scholarships, that would leave you a gap of about $10,000. How do you close that $10,000? You could take out a small student loan. You could do some work study. Scholarships definitely help in that regard. But $10,000 isn't a huge gap necessarily, but it is something to be strategic about for sure. Okay. So the next step, hopefully, in reading these three packages, it helps you just understand the basics of the different items on each package. And again, depending on what schools are coming through your portals, it's going to look a little bit different, but the terminology is going to be the same. Long story short, you want to avoid this parent plus loan, and I'll tell you why. So if we were to hypothetically take this package, right? Student really wants to go to Cal Poly, wants to take out this parent plus loan. and all the loans rather, right? So let's just put this in a loan calculator so you can kind of see what this will do after 4 years of this payment. So I'm going to kind of calculate on the fly here. Sorry, this is got to pull up the calculator. So if we were to take out all of these loans, right, that would mean this student is taking out $17,554 each year. Okay. So compound that by 4 years, and again, costs will fluctuate. Likely your tuition will increase year by year. You're looking at a total loan of $70,000 and roughly $70,000. Let's just go with that. Okay. So this is a loan calculator that I posted on the slide deck that you can kind of play around with, right? The loan balance is the total number that you are borrowing. So let's say with that hypothetical package, it's 70,000. Okay. Generally, student loans are at about a 5% interest rate. Interest is what you have to pay back. That's how the banks make money. And it's basically a charge for you to borrow that money. Okay. So it's 5%. Keep in mind that the parent loans have generally a much higher interest rate, which just means that you pay more in the end. Loan terms, let's just say $70,000 over 10 years. Minimum payment you can leave blank, still in school, getting your bachelor's degree. You're planning to do 4 years of college, and then press calculate. And so this kind of just gives you a general sense of what it would mean if you graduated from college with $70,000 of debt. And again, that's a fluid and flexible number because interest rates change. Parent plus loans have a higher interest rate. But just generally, you can kind of get a sense of, in order to pay back this loan in 10 years, you're going to have a monthly payment of $742.46, and that's 120 payments. And so you can see you're not just paying back the $70,000, but you're paying the $70,000 plus interest. All right. So what that means is that ultimately over those 10 years that you're paying back the loan, you're actually paying $19,000 more than your original loan. And again, this is why it's really important to pay attention to interest and to reduce that number so that it's manageable for you. Okay. Because $750 a month is quite a bit. Okay. So again, this is just the first step in kind of understanding financial aid packages. Certainly, I'm sure that there's going to be more questions that come up. But I did want to show you this college budget template. This is something that Dale created. Thank you, Dale, that your mentors are familiar with. And so what this is going to be used for is for you to take your 3 to 4 top colleges, okay? If you're kind of comparing and contrasting costs, and you're going to put in all the costs here: tuition, fees, room and board, books, transportation, personal expenses. And you're going to put in all of your grants, scholarships, MVLA scholars. Hopefully when POE comes out, you'll put that in there. Other scholarships that you're getting over time. And then you can kind of see your gap, okay? And so that just really helps you make a very smart decision. Again, be informed, ask questions, and you will be fine. Hopefully you have a better understanding of just kind of the general principles of financial aid. So as questions do come up and certain situations come up, please don't hesitate to contact myself or your mentor or Caroline and Dale. We're all here to help you out. All right. I guess that closes this segment of the presentation. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, and I will be hopefully seeing you soon. All right, take care.